In the ever-shifting landscape of global politics, alliances and partnerships are constantly tested by economic pressures, diplomatic challenges, and the competing interests of powerful nations. Recently, South Africa found itself at a crossroads when the United States announced cuts to aid and funding due to political disagreements. This decision, which sent shockwaves through diplomatic circles, raised an important question. Where was BRICS, the economic bloc consisting of Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, was formed to challenge Western economic dominance and foster mutual support among its members? Yet, when South Africa needed strong backing, BRICS seemed largely absent. The absence of a robust response from BRICS has fueled debate about the bloc's unity, strategic goals, and ability to counterbalance Western influence. Was BRICS unwilling or unable to support South Africa during this period of economic strain? And what does this mean for the future of BRICS itself? To answer these questions, we need to examine the motivations, interests, and constraints of each BRICS member and their broader geopolitical calculations. South Africa, the only African nation in BRICS, has played a crucial role in connecting the bloc to the African continent. It has positioned itself as a leader in emerging market alliances and has sought to leverage BRICS partnerships for economic and diplomatic growth. However, its relationship with the United States remains complicated. The U.S. aid cut was tied to political differences, but beyond the political rhetoric, the economic implications were significant. Reduced funding affected South Africa's development projects, infrastructure investments, and social programs. This raised the expectation that BRICS would step in and offer compensatory support. Despite this expectation, BRICS members did not offer direct financial aid or a coordinated public response. To understand why, we must look at the interests of each BRICS nation individually. China, the most influential BRICS member, has extensive economic ties with South Africa. It is one of the country's largest trading partners and has invested heavily in mining, infrastructure, and telecommunications. However, China's global strategy prioritizes long-term economic engagements rather than reactive financial aid. Unlike Western financial institutions, China prefers investment-based diplomacy, offering loans for large-scale projects rather than direct budgetary support. Additionally, China is engaged in complex geopolitical maneuvering with the United States. Directly countering U.S. aid cuts to South Africa could have escalated tensions, something China might have wanted to avoid amid its trade disputes and broader strategic competition with Washington. Instead, China maintained its standard approach, deepening economic ties but avoiding open defiance of Western financial decisions. Russia, another BRICS heavyweight, faces its own economic struggles due to Western sanctions. Its ability to provide financial assistance to South Africa is limited. While Russia has supported South Africa diplomatically, especially in multilateral forums like the UN, its economic contributions remain focused on specific industries such as energy and defense. Moscow has little financial flexibility to step in where the US has withdrawn. India, for its part, has a complex balancing act between the West and its BRICS allies. While India values its BRICS membership, it also has strong economic and strategic ties with the United States. Stepping in to counteract U.S. aid cuts could have risked diplomatic repercussions, potentially affecting India's trade agreements, technology partnerships, and defense collaborations with Washington. Additionally, India's foreign policy has historically been cautious, emphasizing non-alignment rather than direct confrontations with global powers. Brazil, under its current leadership, has shown fluctuating commitments to BRICS cohesion. Domestic economic challenges and shifting diplomatic priorities have made it less likely to engage in financial interventions for South Africa. Like India, Brazil is also mindful of its relations with Western economies and may have seen little strategic advantage in openly countering U.S. decisions. With these factors in mind, the lack of a strong BRICS response to South Africa's situation appears less surprising. Each member nation is driven by its own geopolitical and economic interests, and while BRICS is a powerful economic bloc, it lacks the mechanisms, to function as a financial safety net in the way that Western institutions like the IMF or World Bank do. Unlike NATO, which has clear security obligations among its members, BRICS is primarily an economic alliance without binding commitments for financial bailouts or aid redistribution. For South Africa, this situation underscores an important reality. It cannot rely solely on BRICS for economic security. While BRICS remains a valuable alliance for trade, investment, and diplomatic influence, it does not replace the financial structures and partnerships that Western aid provides. This realization may push South Africa to diversify its economic strategies further, seeking new regional alliances and strengthening intra-African economic cooperation. The broader question remains, what does this mean for BRICS as an institution? If one of its members faces financial strain and does not receive meaningful support, does this expose a fundamental weakness in the alliance? Critics argue that BRICS, despite its ambitions, lacks cohesion and concrete mechanisms for mutual financial assistance. On the other hand, supporters of BRICS argue that the alliance is not about financial bailouts, but about long-term economic partnerships and a collective push against Western financial dominance. Looking ahead, the future of BRICS depends on its ability to evolve. If the bloc wishes to be a true counterbalance to Western financial institutions, it may need to develop internal funding mechanisms, such as an expanded BRICS Development Bank with emergency funding capabilities. Without such structures, BRICS may continue to struggle with internal cohesion when faced with economic crises affecting its members. In the final analysis, BRICS did not stand firmly by South Africa in response to US aid cuts, not necessarily out of a lack of will, but due to geopolitical realities and structural limitations. While South Africa remains an important player in the alliance, it must carefully navigate its relationships with both Western and Eastern economic powers to ensure long-term stability and growth. The global economic order is shifting, but for now, the influence of Western financial power still looms large. What do you think? Should BRICS have taken stronger action to support South Africa? Is the bloc failing to meet its potential as an economic alternative to the West? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and if you found this analysis insightful, be sure to subscribe for more in-depth geopolitical discussions. Until next time, stay informed, stay engaged, and keep questioning the world around you.
You know, the BRIC states, there are like 6 of them, and they were trying to destroy our dollar. They were going to say, you know, they wanted to create a new currency. They probably wanted to use the yuan. China, they wanted to use the yuan. And Biden said, well, this is a tough situation. There's not much we can do about that. We can't help that. I said, oh, we can help it. So when I came in, the first thing I said is any BRIC state that even mentions the destruction of the dollar will be charged a 150% tariff. And we don't want your goods. We don't want to partake. And the BRIC states just broke up. I don't know what the hell happened to them. We haven't heard from the BRIC states lately.
And now, without providing any evidence, President Trump boasted that he has stopped the BRICS from launching its own currency, which he claims was meant to replace the U.S. dollar.
We haven't heard from the BRIC states lately, but he said that wasn't much we could do about it. There was a lot. It took once, and literally, they said, sir, what about the BRIC states? They're going to take over the dollar, the sanctity of the dollar. They're going to create a new currency to rule the world. I said, no, they're not. They said, yes, they are, sir. They said it. I said, no, they're not. Tell them 150% tariff, plus we're not going to do business with them, and that includes China.
Now, the BRICS was launched by Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa as a counter to the Western G7 bloc. However, it's now grown in size and includes countries like Egypt, Ethiopia, Indonesia, Iran, and the UAE. And since the COVID-19 pandemic, the nations have been conducting bilateral trade amongst themselves in their own currencies instead of the U.S. dollar. China and Russia have even floated the idea of a BRICS currency several times, but have never received a consensus on the issue. This is because India, which is a founding member of the BRICS, has repeatedly said it has good relations with the United States and has no interest in replacing the dollar. Now, the latest threats by President Trump comes just less than a week after he first threatened 100% tariffs on all BRIC nations.
The BRICS nations I think that's breaking up very rapidly. We said that if they're going to go and do anything to undermine the dollar, that includes China. I don't even know that they're a member of BRICS, but they had a few nations get together to try and play cute. And I said, we're going to put a 100% tariff on every one of those nations. And at the mere thought of saying that, I think that's all broken up. That idea has no longer sailed. Now, that would be a terrible thing for our country. It would be bad for the world. They wanted to undermine the dollar. 6 nations got together. They wanted to undermine the dollar.
Now, only Brazil has in fact threatened to hit the United States with retaliatory tariffs. However, if BRIC nations do in fact retaliate President Trump's threats, it could lead to a severe trade war between the United States on one side and Russia, India, China, Brazil, and the UAE, which is about 40% of the global GDP, on the other side.